shiny, shiny, plastic, black mirror fascist, obsessed capitalist. Are you feeling guilty Catholic? Pretty, picturesque Facebook status, happy family and happy marriage, like the magazine pages, superimposed with Photoshop and happy faces, where cancer doesn't exist, and your daddy lives for ages, and the black babies with the swollen bellies are only moments on your telly until you switch it off and put your makeup on. So walk your dog vegan and put your makeup on, posing perfectly pouting and put your makeup on. Hypocrite, selfie, snowflake nation, not making a difference, not voting, not independence, cause it's irrelevant to how your hair grows. You're pretty, and it's a pity that you're prepared to perpetuate your particulars on Instagram and prefer not to educate and overcomplicate an avocado, like you know the answers to the problems of this world. Meditation and mindful, how about realistically having kids to feed on minimum wage and suicidal without letting your wife know? Cause I don't kill myself for fashion, not a psycho for the sake of it. Hate the name of it and really ashamed of it. I hate your glossy, double tongue, so in circle, talky, trashy magazine, like Sebastian's dreams. Your friends are just old plastic, and it's lonely out there. I don't care about your implants or artificial intelligence, agony ants, chitty chat irrelevance, designer shirt and pants. So keep on spending, goodbye pretty people. It's such an ugly ending. Keep pretending, keep on telling yourself that you're so important, like everyone else, like everyone else, like everyone else. Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty. Fight for your rights, but you die to lose.
Goodbye, pretty people, I'll miss you. All your little giggling and self-serving circles, self-absorbed, oh shallow surface, all that fucking money and totally worthless, in entirety distractive. A life without purpose, your embodiment is everything wrong, emboldened by a Harvey Nicks arrogance, echo chamber, industrial multiplier, factory line features and adjusted plastic artifice, cosmetically cybernetic immortality activist agents. Away with your moisturizing skin armor nonsense, swigging beard lotion against a Georgian backdrop. Sleeves tops are a symptom of civilization in decline. Beggars rocking £100 traders with metallic shell toes. Designer baby accessories with perfect lips and a pre-birth sense of what looks fucking fabulous. It's ridiculous, marvelous, purebred, beautiful offspring of the embassy. Laughing at the wannabes that think that greed is power. The hours tick by and all you want is everything endless. You are now living in the culture with a locust consumer, target population, pool of fashion, housing, online grooming saloons. Pretty predator class, deadly privilege picking flesh from the populace fast. The terrorist victim look is this year's heroin chic. Superior models of Snaptip, pop-up bomb sites, popping prescription antidepressants, propping up debris arranged in artistical splatter patterns. Little ray of ignorant exception at the tipping point. You're dragged to the ground by the teeth of natural selection. We defecate upon your form, prone upon your back and bleeding in round the scissor man. Snicker, snack. Your entrified empathy, ultimately empty, dead heart, pretty face, piss upon your memory.
Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty people.
Well, hello. Welcome to another Sleuth Intuition Live special edition. We have a special guest. I believe only one of two people to actually, reach out and try to see what was going on with our friend Julian. Her name is Falon Marston. She's the host of a true crime podcast called Dead Academy, which rocks, by the way. Some of the places you can find it is Apple, Podchaser, Audible.com, amongst many others. And I'll be adding all of those links here to the description. And I'm sure she'll tell us where we can find them. We're going to bring her live with us now.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, Falon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Um, yeah, anytime. I really appreciate it. You want to
Likewise.
tell you want to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself personally before we kind
Sure.
of get into all the true crime stuff?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm Fallon. I'm from Cincinnati, Houday. Let me see. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. Uh, like true crime is my passion. I love exploring haunted places and anything spooky and creepy. You can find me like right there.
Nice. How did you get into true crime?
Um, Let me see here. I think I was around like 3 years old. My mom, she would always record like unsolved mysteries, and
I
then when
love
I would,
unsolved mysteries.
right, like the old ones. Um, but she would always record it on her VHS. So whenever, there was like that new VHS out, I would, go to watch that with her, and we would just, I don't know, sit forever and just watch horror movies. And then I got a little bit older and started to, get more inquisitive about different, cases and hauntings and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of where it all started. I just, from the age of like 3, just kind of went on with
What
it.
was it about them specifically? Was it the chase? Was it the unknown? Was it helping to prove what you personally already knew to be a fact? Like
I
where
think
were you
the whole,
coming from?
I think the first like the whole unknowing of it, like what is really going on, and then just trying to pick it apart and get to the bottom of it. I love that. Hi, Stacy. Yeah, it's. I mean, still to this day, like Unsolved Mysteries is my favorite show ever.
I
I
still
love it.
watch it.
It's great.
Um, yeah, they still play a lot of the episodes. I think they're redoing it, possibly,
I
or they
think
did.
they did some on Netflix. I mean, it's pretty good. They give a little shout out to like Robert Stack in the beginning.
Yeah,
Um, I
legend.
mean, legend, but you can't beat the
And that
original.
song, that song. Dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun,
Dun,
dun-dun,
dun, dun. Yeah,
dun-dun,
that's actually one of my
dun-dun, dun-dun.
ringtones. Yeah,
Right
dude,
then, you're like, all right, everybody, shut up. We're about to, it's coming on.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
legendary.
I love it.
What is Dead Academy? Can you tell us a little bit about it? I've been checking it out.
Yeah.
Once I posted, your interview, when
Hmm.
Crime Dive kind of sent it to me, I posted it. Everybody's been talking about it since. I have so many views on that video. It's
Oh my
insane.
gosh,
Yeah,
really? That's
yeah, tell
awesome.
us about it.
Okay, so Dead Academy, I'm still like I don't really watch a whole lot of shows, so I constantly have my headphones on, listen to music or whatever. And I actually a few years ago stumbled on my favorite murder, and I thought, wow, my friend Michelle and I could totally do this. Like that's because that's all we do is just talk back and forth about true crime and hauntings and all this other stuff. So I thought, why don't we try that? Like, why don't we just see what happens? And then we try to come up with a name, and I actually don't love the name too much, but
I
we
love
went.
it.
You do?
It's an amazing name. It's
Well, thank
perfect.
you, thank you.
Yeah, doesn't get any better.
Well, thank you. So we just came up with that and just kind of gave it a little, testing the waters here and there. I think our first episode was about Sylvia Likens and the exorcism of Annalise Michelle. So that one was tough.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, and then we just, we ended up having a great time and our banter. We've been best friends for like 24 years, so we can just bounce right back off. And then it just kind of went from there. People would say, "Hey, will you cover this case?" or "This crazy thing happened to me." We talk about it, and we fell in love with the fact that there are other people out there who want to hear this crazy stuff. So,
Well, especially when people are passionate about it. Like when I
mhm.
listen to your podcast, I can tell like you're really passionate about it.
Thank you.
Um, you're not just reading something and you're like, hey, this is true crime. Look, I'm going to read this for you guys. No,
Right,
you're like, I need you to understand this. I'm doing my best to explain it to you, and I
right.
care about it.
I really
Yeah,
do. Yeah,
I can tell.
absolutely. Yeah. I don't usually cover anything that I don't feel either like some kind of connection to, or if I can't personally reach out and like talk to the families or go visit the cemetery and put flowers on the grave. I really take all of that seriously, so when I cover something, it does, I really mean it. Like I'll give it all I have for that 1 hour and a half.
What
So
case stands out to you? Like, which case did you cover and you were just like, wow, this is just really hitting home for me? Or,
um that's a good question. For some reason, like the John Bonet case that we had covered, just because
Mhm.
it's been, I think I was, I don't know, 12 years old when she was killed. And I mean, we heard about that everywhere. I mean, still to this day, you can go to the grocery store and there's John Bonet, magazines. So that one was interesting to really get way involved in. I feel like I kind of lost myself a little bit there for a minute because it's
Mhm.
like the Delphi case. Once you start,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't stop. Um, and I feel like the other one, Princess Diana, I had a lot of fun doing that one. I got to work with the guy that worked secretly with her to write his book, Andrew Morton. But just
Okay.
hearing about, everyone saw her as this princess and, this royal woman. But when you really
Mm.
get down to it, she had a lot of mental health issues. She was into tarot cards and, all the normal, interesting stuff that would normally be kind of frowned upon through the royal family. But I think getting to know her through her words and she had an eating disorder. I myself and a few of my other friends have dealt with that too. So being able
Yeah,
to
sorry
connect
about
with
that.
someone, yeah, it's tough. It's very tough. But I feel like getting to know that person rather than the princess was really interesting. So
Yeah, see, I've never even heard of that. I just know that she was loved by pretty much everybody. I never even suspected that her
oh
husband would even let her get away with anything,
yeah,
let alone
he honestly,
divulging something like that.
yeah, well, no one knew. That's the thing. Like no one knew that she was behind it until after she died. And then Andrew
Could
Morton came out and was like, "Yeah, these are the tapes that she sent me. Like they worked back and forth."
could
So
her lifestyle be the cause of that, you think? Maybe? A lot of it?
yeah, yeah, I really do.
Stress, a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure and just the demand. Excuse me. The whole world needed her, for multiple different reasons, and she had a lot of, she was outspoken. She had a lot of passions that she wanted to share with other people, and I feel like once you dive into her and get to really know Diana as opposed to Princess of Wales, like
Mhm.
she's fascinating and she's so normal. Like she was just like us.
Well, when she passed away, I mean, it seemed like the world kinda stopped for a minute there.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I remember I think I was in 7th grade when that happened and it was late at night and like my mom just sat up and she cried and we both cried and we never even met her, but just seeing her life and watching her go through everything, through the magazines and the shows and all this stuff. It was tough, you know, just to see someone like that.
visibly unhappy at times.
Unhappy, yeah, I mean miserable. Yeah, like
Mhm.
some of the things that she went through, I don't know how she made it through, honestly. Just constant pressure from everyone and you have to be a certain way, you have to speak a certain way. Even taking her kids to McDonald's was like she's a princess, you don't take your kids to freaking McDonald's, but she did, and that's just she was really fascinating.
Yeah,
So,
she knew better
mhm.
than what was going on in that palace or whatever.
And honestly, I don't think she gave a shit, really. She just did her own
Mhm.
thing and that was her. So that would probably be my most connecting, story that I've researched and covered basically. Is just someone as far out as a royal princess and yet she can connect with just you, me, anybody, you
Yeah,
know.
that's true.
Yeah.
She kinda tried to be molded into, like, royalty.
Tried to be. Yep.
Tried to be
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't fit I guess in her case, she wouldn't be a square peg, but, um,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe a round peg into a square.
Right. Oh yeah.
She definitely wasn't a square.
Not at all. Yeah. Wish
Um,
we could have hung out with her actually. She seems like she would have been a lot of fun.
she
So,
seems intimidating.
well, yeah. I mean,
She'd be too good. She'd be like, "No, hey, don't be doing that, sleuth.
right.
Sorry."
Or
Alright.
yeah, she would probably be a lot. I don't know. It's kind of hard to. I've never met her, but you know,
I
yeah.
heard good things about her.
And honestly, there's really only good things about her, other than
Mhm.
the things that she went through that people can connect with. Which I think she can connect to a lot of people if they would just be interested in just for like a few minutes. You could really get to. A lot of her story is also like really inspiring as far as like mental
Giving.
health aspect, right? And you can go through certain things and you can be expected to do certain things and do what you feel is right. And I just love her.
Yeah, don't let anybody tell you what you're doing is wrong when you know it's coming from a place that is 100% right.
Exactly, exactly.
If it comes from the heart, you know that anybody that's coming against what you're trying to do is
Hmm.
not coming from a righteous place, in my opinion, when you know.
Right.
So, it says here also in the bio, urban legends and paranormal. You're more on the true crime side of all of that.
um I would think it's like a nice balance, honestly. I love learning about true crime and different, ways to solve cases. But then the old-fashioned ghost story like gets me every time, or I'm actually terrified of like any kind of alien story. So those are always the ones that grab me. Um, so yeah, it's a nice balance of both,
Okay.
really.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I'm into all that stuff. Hopefully, I can get into that once this Delphi case is resolved. Because, like you said, like with John Bonet, it kind of consumes you at times,
It really
and
does.
it's because a lot of darkness is involved in all this stuff. Nothing good happened to these children or during these cases or these crimes. So when you dive into them, you're diving into that darkness. So you got to make
You
sure
are.
you're ready for that because it,
Yeah.
it it can grab you.
And it's heavy.
Oh,
It's
it's
really,
bad.
really heavy. I think for me, just the fact that we were given so much from Libby and yet we can't really do anything with it, that's the frustrating part. It's like, obviously everyone says this, we have audio, we have video, we have his gate, we have the location, but who is this guy? No one knows. And I feel like that's just, once you start looking into it, that's it.
Mm. And this guy, Mr. B guys, he likes to leave these strange comments, and he runs around acting like he's the bridge guy. What do you think?
Uh,
Apparently he's on Reddit too.
Mr. B guy's on there.
Yeah.
This is my first time hearing about him, honestly.
Yeah, it's not a new account. He's not trolling. I mean, he's trolling, but he's not like a troll.
Is
I
he
think his
trying to be a
account.
troll?
I don't
Let's
know.
see. Well, what do you got to say about it, Mr. B, guys? Let's see.
Yeah, if you know, he says that JP is flattering him because he's trying to act as if he is the bridge guy, when in fact this gingerbread man is the bridge guy.
Oh, well, I mean, that gingerbread man looks nothing like those sketches, so
Yeah, and he
whatever.
looks like he would slide right through the
He
thing.
does. He does.
And then
Yeah, I don't know.
if you get wet, apparently they got wet. So if he gets wet, he'd be running on like stubbles out of
That's
there.
it. Yeah.
Too
Let me see.
dangerous, bro. Unless you had boots
Yep.
on, rubber boots.
Or kayak shoes, got to
Yeah,
get
who
that kind
knows?
of grip on it.
Yeah. Well, there's that guy. So let me ask you this:
Sure.
what is you got here? Urban legends,
hmm
paranormal, true crime. What
hmm
is your favorite scary movie?
Ooh, that's a good one. I have a couple. Have you ever seen Poughkeepsie tapes?
Poughkeepsie tapes.
Poughkeepsie tapes. It,
Poughkeepsie.
yeah, Poughkeepsie.
Poughkeepsie.
I think it's in New York. I have no idea how to spell it. Poughkeepsie tapes. That movie is like I can handle just
I've
about
never heard of it.
anything. Oh
Never
my
heard of it.
God, Sleuth! It is so. It's incredible. Like it's terrifying, but like they took it on another level where I haven't seen that before, and I've
Are we
seen a lot
talking
of shit.
gore or are we talking thriller?
Both, and it really gets in your head. So without giving too much away, it's basically like a found footage film, and it doesn't shake like a whole bunch. Because once the camera starts going crazy, I just can't focus. But it's like a found footage film of this guy who, how do I say it? He has his favorite captor, and I can't really get a whole lot out of it. The things that he does with her, and the way that he manipulates her and the shit that he does is just it's insane, but it's all like through these videotapes. So
Oh,
like the first opening scene you'll be like, what? Like, oh shit, okay, so this is where this
okay.
is going. Yeah, it's incredible.
How do you
Poughkeepsie
spell it?
tapes. Oh, Josh, how do you spell Poughkeepsie? My husband's over there.
I'll just
Uh,
sound it up.
it's with a P. uh I think it's a place in New York. Poughkeepsie tapes.
Sounds like Poughkeepsie.
Poughkeepsie. Poughkeepsie.
Poughgh.
Say it louder.
Poughkeepsie.
Did you
I
get
know
that?
that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. So that's a really good one. I cannot recommend that one enough. But if it's not really your thing, there's another movie called I Saw the Devil. That was it's a foreign film, so got to read that subtitles. But It's good.
I like those. I think the closest one that I have you seen the movie Antichrist?
Oh, with Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a
the
creepy movie.
scissors. Ah! Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I just watched the new Scream movie, by the way, which was really awesome.
Really? Yeah, Michelle was saying she went and saw it too, and she loved
Yeah,
it.
that was pretty good.
I couldn't get past the fourth one. I just,
They kind of try to do like a remake of the very first one.
okay.
They do a good job, and they kind of address it. Like that's kind of what's going on.
Hmm.
That's what they're trying to do.
Awesome.
They came very close to capturing, but I don't think anything can. That original Scream is just too good.
Oh, you can't. Yeah, original's always best.
Okay, now let's get to the meat and the potatoes.
Let's go.
Everybody's here because they want to know what's going on with Julian. Um, most of them are aware that you did an interview with Julian.
I did.
How did that come about?
So let's see. I actually, when I first heard of him, again, he's still kind of new to me. I want to say it was sometime in December, maybe. He had posted a video, and I'm sure we've all seen it. He's really intense, and he's talking about, whoever did this. I don't care if you, blah blah blah. It was that video where he was just
Where he's
really
looking at the newspaper.
that one, yeah. And I kept watching it, and I thought immediately, I was like, something's up with this guy. I don't know if it's maybe he has something to do with the case, or if maybe, I don't know. There was just something about him where I was just like, I was fixated on him, because I mean, how many BG suspects have we all seen, but this guy was very interesting. And
Yeah.
I was very cautious. I kind of just kept my eye on him. And then when you did your interview with them, I was like, okay, cool. And I listened to it. It was great. I loved it. And that's what made me actually want to call him. I said, I want to see if I can get him talking too. Like, just see what he has to say, kind of let him talk, but, make him feel comfortable. But before I actually was able to get him to talk to me, we would text back and forth. And it took a couple times before he would respond to me.
Yeah.
But once he did, like, we had a great conversation. I didn't put all the text out there, obviously, but I mean, nothing else was, crazy said. We just talked more privately about, kids and home life and all that stuff. But and he was definitely interesting. And I just had to get my hands in there and just talk to him.
Yeah, and it's obvious that's what he's asking for, regardless what the reason might be. He's asking for attention. He has something to say. He wants to say it. He's not, it's not like you called him and you fooled him or
Right.
anything like that. Like, this is a grown person.
Mm-hmm.
He deals with his own personal stuff on a daily basis, and it's
Yeah.
extremely difficult for this man right now. He's accomplishing more with his day-to-day, it seems, than most people are.
Right.
So,
He's a lot going on with him. A lot going on. I do know right now he had mentioned that him and his wife are kind of going through a rough patch, which, given the videos, I can see why that came about.
he's been open.
Do what?
He's been open about that.
Yeah. I mean, which every marriage has its ups and downs, but I feel like when you're putting out content like that, it's I don't know, kind of hard to balance that back out. Kind of once you dive off that ledge, you know what I mean? Like, it's just he's interesting, super polite, but I mean,
Very
definitely
polite.
interesting, absolutely, and very
Respectful.
intelligent. Right.
Oh, he's got a lot of people fooled, also, in my opinion.
I think so too. And you know what? I might be one of them, honestly. Like, I
Me
feel,
too.
yeah, I really do. I mean,
I'm not immune.
he was great to talk to. The whole conversation went great. I didn't have any issues with him. I thought that I was going to be talking to the guy from that video that was, pointing at the newspaper, and he's so fired up and so passionate. And then when I talked to him, he's just, just chill. I thought, wow, this is interesting, because he went literally from 0 to 100 like that, So getting to talk to him was fun, and it was interesting, and it was intense.
Well, how the heck did you guys ever start talking about this polygraph?
Let me. You know what? He actually wrote that to me in a text message. I don't have to look it up right now, but yeah, he had actually mentioned that he wanted to maybe have a chat with me before Monday because Monday was when he had an appointment with Indiana State Police for this polygraph. Well, I had never heard of that before, so I was like, "Hold on, you have what going on? Where with who?" And he said, "Yeah, polygraph Monday. It's simple. I just got to help clear my name, and they want to ask me some questions." And I thought, good, good because we need to know like you're either involved or you're not involved. They either need to sit you down and talk to you and figure out what this is, or move on.
Mhm.
And he just kind of mentioned it, and I kind of latched onto it, and you know, I've I. I've texted him. Let's see, that would have been on Valentine's Day. I've texted him maybe 2 or 3 times. He has not written me back yet, but he has read those messages, as it says on the text message. So,
And did he have because usually that's what, an iPhone when you can tell,
mhm.
like,
Yep,
delivered or whatever?
yep. He
Um,
did not have an iPhone before that. I'm assuming it was an Android because I wa
when
it
did
was
that
showed
change?
green.
Do you remember? Was that just today?
You know what? Let me have a look really quick.
I
So
was
let's
curious
see.
about that when we talked about it earlier a little bit.
So the last text I sent him was Monday on Valentine's Day at 10:55, and I just said, "Hey, I'm sending you positive vibes. Let me know how today goes." And that was Monday, and I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but probably not. I'm not very good with. There
Mhm.
you
Oh,
go.
there it is.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
yeah, I
like
can
it
see
was
it.
all in green, and then he must have got an iPhone because I said, "Hey, Julian, just wanted to check in and see how you're doing." That was today at like 11:30, and he read it right when I sent it to him, but he
Hmm.
didn't write me back. So I don't know. Maybe he's just doing his own thing. Maybe he doesn't like the publicity that it's gotten him. Maybe him clearing his name backfired. I don't know. Because, I mean, the last week or so, we were boom, 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 back and
He's
forth, no
disappeared.
problem. Yeah,
Like, I mean, even to my sources that are very close to him,
mhm.
they have not seen this person. Either that or they've been asked to be hush hush.
I wonder, maybe it's like, I hope that if he did have this polygraph, maybe they saw what we can see and maybe kind of, I don't want
Told
to say
him to
held him,
stop.
but,
Yeah,
well,
yeah, like,
just,
psych eval is 72 hours,
right,
and if he had maybe anything unsubscribed on his person, that could be potentially another charge,
right.
um, but from what I understand, people that have been looking into it, he's not booked anywhere, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's like, either he was there and he saw something or he knows something or he wasn't there and he thinks he was. Like either way, there's some kind of like he needs some
Connection.
kind of help. Right. Well, I feel like he needs some kind of professional help to figure out what that actually is
Mhm.
and not just put it to rest for us, but for to him.
Well, that's
He's
one thing.
living through this spiral and you've gotten a different version of him than I have and he's different every time that you see him. So hopefully he's getting the help that he needs because I definitely think he needs some.
Well, his connection with law enforcement, I think, is gonna give him those resources.
You think so?
Yeah. They're gonna tell him, "Look, man, this is," and that may have been his intention. Like, "Hey, nobody's here to help me, maybe these sleuths out here will get me some attention,"
Right.
boom, he got what he wanted, he got what he needed. He got all the attention that he needed, and he's
Mhm.
in there in the interview room, and he's like, "Okay, guys, I passed my polygraph. I'll stop with all the online stuff," which it seems like he did, um, "and you guys will go ahead and connect me with the right people."
I
Yes, done
I
deal. Everybody walks away. He's vetted. He gets help, and you and I get to talk about it and talk about the the conversations and experiences we had.
yeah, and I honestly hope that Julian does get the help that he needs. I mean, I feel like there's a part of him that's good. There's a part of him that wants to be not the person he was in that video with that paper. You know what I mean? Like I feel
Yep.
like there's a different part to him. He just needs help getting there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Okay.
does. Um, oh, I think that's a reference to my hoodie. Sorry,
No, no, you're fine.
I
I'm
didn't
trying
change
to
my
read them too.
yeah. So if the chat has any questions here for Fallon, throw them out there and we'll get to them.
Yeah.
Right now, we're just kind of breaking everything down.
Mhm.
What does your gut tell you, Fallon? Like with all this, with him?
With Julian,
Yeah, what does your gut say?
so My gut is still in the same spot as it was before. There's something up. There's
So
something up.
frustrating. Could he, he tipped in somebody that was related to him. He tipped them in.
Could
Um, could that be something that's causing him to freak out? Like he
I
doesn't want
think
to accept the consequences of following that through, maybe?
I think there's something there that is connecting him to Delphi. I don't know what that is, but for him to be so passionate about that, I mean, passion is he's intense, you know. I feel like there's something.
Yeah, and 2
I don't know.
seconds prior to his passion, he'll say things like, I don't really know a lot about it.
Yeah, or how he told you that he knew the area, and this and that, and he was there. He thought he saw something, but maybe his brain was kind of fuzzy. That caught me too, because I'm like, oh wait, you were there? You don't remember? What the hell? And then when I talked to him and he's like, oh, I don't really know the area. And then he's like, well, maybe I drove over that bridge one night looking for exit routes. Maybe I have been to that bridge. And it's
Late at
like,
night after work.
yeah,
That was
and
shocking.
and
And it's
that
stuff like that which makes me feel like I have to figure out what is going on.
he's so interesting. It's the same thing with Delphi. Once you start going down the Julian Powell rabbit hole, we're gonna be at the bottom, like, hey, welcome. Like
Yeah,
he just
and the
he,
sad thing is that it's most likely part of his intelligence where he's kind of using us, as his entertainment, and that's fine too because we
sure,
have a job that we feel we have to do, something that we've devoted ourselves to is
oh,
kind of finding
absolutely,
answers and looking into these types of things.
yeah.
So, even though he's playing us, we have to take a closer look. We
We
know
have
we
to
have.
take a closer look, and I feel like someone had mentioned before that we have to take control of discussing anything with him. You know, um, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, but going back to my gut feeling, he's he knows something. I don't know what it is. Maybe he knows someone that knows someone. I feel like if he doesn't actually know anything about what happened on that bridge or under it, uh, why is he injecting himself so heavily into this? He didn't know those girls. He doesn't know their family. He might know the area, but like he doesn't know. It just seems odd,
And maybe
and
he did know the girls. Maybe he was kind of spying on them, like cyber stalking.
oh, I hate to think about that. And like you don't want that to happen, like you don't want that to be what's making him connected, but maybe. I mean, it's possible. It's scary to think about something like that, but I mean,
I don't want to, like I said, I do have information about his personal life and stuff like that, but I don't want to badmouth him
sure,
because you
yeah.
never know somebody's intentions. But I mean, he seems like he might be somebody else when he kind of communicates with us as to who he might be when he's alone or with those who he's familiar with.
hmm There's a part of my call with him. I forget how far into it, but he starts talking about the government and like the separation of like privacy from safety,
It's a big
and
deal.
yeah, huge. But if you listen very closely, that part of him that was in that really intense video comes through just a little bit, where he
Mhm.
starts, the government, and then you can hear him just like he like caught himself, and it's like I wanted him to just keep going with that intense part of him. Like that's what I wanted to get to. Like
He
where did this
knows.
intensity come from? You
He
know?
knows better. He has it under control. And to me, I see him struggling with that. He's just controlling this other part of him.
Oh,
So that's the
absolutely.
part that has me concerned. I'm like, if you're struggling with this part of you
hmm
that is potentially dangerous, you know, the more and more I learn about this case and learn more about who this bridge guy might be, like you actually start to really develop a profile in your brain.
You really
And then
do. Yeah.
when you run across Julian and he's obviously suffering from some issues, he's admitted it. He doesn't
hmm
like the words like personality disorder and stuff like that. So I don't
Right.
use it in
Right.
reference to him out of respect. But there's something obvious there, and that's part of the profile of this guy that we're looking for.
Yeah.
So it's also another interesting factor, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. And if you want to base it off the whole sketches, which I don't like the sketches, you put them both together, and you have someone that kind of brings up his picture. He does have a lot of similarities to Bridge
Mm.
Guy, but then again, it's like I'm over here in Ohio. Every guy looks like that in February.
Yeah.
Every guy looks like that, and that's what makes it so tough. Is like, I'll be at Kroger or Walmart or something. I'm like, that guy looks like bridge guy. It's with everybody. They all, I don't know, they all just, everyone could be bridge guy. And it's tough. Oh, someone had a question. Who's my
Um,
POI?
where's that at? Oh,
I might
right
be a
here.
little bit behind you. I might have a little bit of a lag.
There it is. Question, ma'am. Who is your POI?
Are you ready to go into this one?
Hey, the floor is yours.
All right. My POI is James Bryan Chadwell II. I know I'm going to get a lot of crap for that, but he's it. He is it. There's nothing that I can really think of that will tell me that it wasn't him. Like everything that I've looked into, meeting his family, spending time with them, like I've been to their home, they've been to mine. We've met our families. Like I developed a really tight relationship with his family and been to his house and saw where he lived. So
Tell us about that. That's extremely interesting. Let's hear that.
oh man, okay. So let me see, backing up. I had never heard of Delphi ever. And it's crazy because I'm only like 3 hours south of there. I have never heard of them ever, ever. And then I have a friend, his name is Justin. He's the host of Mysterious Circumstances podcast. Hey, Justin. He sent me a text like last April, and it was just this article about James Bryan Chadwell. Could he be Bridge Guy? And I'm like, who the hell is Bridge Guy? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, there is no way that you don't know about Delphi. And I, not only did I not know, but no one around here knew about it. So once you start down that rabbit hole, there you are. But I kept looking into it because he just, the article that I read, it sounded like, well, his voice sounded a lot like Bridge Guy, and I've played that over and over and over, and I've watched videos that he's been in, and I've seen home videos and all this, and I could hear him saying that. So that's what kind of caught me on it. And then you look at him, and he looks like the sketches. Then you go down to like how his height, his weight, his build, all of that. He fits all of that. When the
He
crime
likes to
happened,
camp near bridges and stuff.
yeah, he loves to camp. He's obsessed with trains and bridges, and Brian likes to be alone in the woods with his alcohol and maybe some acid or weed or whatever. Like that's what he likes to do. That's where he's most comfortable.
It's like a playground.
It is. And that's where he's most comfortable, So when I went to Delphi and I crossed I didn't cross that bridge. Sorry. I made it out to like the first platform on the right. It was that is sketchy. JBC is not hiding in plain sight. He could have been though, Jen.
He kind of was.
Yeah, he absolutely was. His house, when we went there, he lived on a cul-de-sac, and it was a very tiny cul-de-sac. So he was literally, houses were just smashed in together. And when I read about what he did to this 9-year-old little girl, it just, I don't know, it just kind of took over, and I had to know everything about him. And I feel like I did a pretty good job, like, boots on the ground kind of work, going there and visiting everybody and just hearing his friends and his family, every single one of them. And I mean,
yeah, what'd they say? What
one.
are the things that they would say about him? I'm truly like curious. I was unaware of that.
He's violent. He's got an issue with women. He is, every single one of them said they're absolutely 100% sure that he is capable of something like that. And not just, hurting two girls, but going as far to kill them and do whatever else may have been done to them. Like he's a violent guy. And even though he may not be a bridge guy, like when we were at his house, you could see little things that, like, I found some string, as little as that sounds. Like I can send you pictures later. I found some string in his backyard that I also found. If you're going hiking down towards the crime scene from the cemetery side, not on Ron Logan's side, but the other side,
yeah,
we found like his family and I went down there together, and we found matching string, which again, it's just string, but little like liquor bottles that he would drink, like his specific brands of things we found back there. And
really?
That was, yeah, but I mean, that could have been anybody's.
You guys should have bagged him up and took some fingerprints.
Well, I'm not that good when it comes to stuff like that. I was actually more worried about if I was on someone's property, if I was going to get busted for trespassing, because, been there before, don't want to get in trouble again. But
yeah, that's would be my problem over there too.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Brian, he is everything you would not expect a killer to be. You know, he looks presentable. There's even parts of him learning about him where I was like, wow, I could have like hung out with this guy, maybe even dated this guy. You know, he seems cool. But then when
Somewhat
you
normal.
right, yeah, I mean, he was posting pictures of camping and fishing and hiking and all the same stuff that I love to do and that we do around here for fun.
Well,
You
on
know,
his Facebook, there was some women that were actually had dated him, and on his Facebook were saying a lot of great things about him. They got shamed
oh
because
yeah,
his Facebook was basically wide open, so people were kind of giving them a hard time.
oh my
They don't
gosh.
they're victims too in a way.
They are, and we don't know if there's been other victims that he's had, whether it be girlfriends or maybe their children. His family was saying some things about like there was one incident where um, Brian was left alone upstairs with a 6-year-old girl in a house full of grown men who were like drunk and have just been taking acid like left and right. But there's
Wow.
this little 6-year-old girl alone with this guy upstairs. We don't know what happened, and it's a 6-year-old girl. It's not like they're going to be like, you know, ready and willing and able to tell what happened. It's just there's so many different things that make him capable of being a bridge guy. Oh my gosh, I could just go on about him forever.
Well, a lot of people still that's their person of interest as well. I didn't spend too much time on him, but I would never dare like just say like no, there's no way it's Brian Chadwell. He was
Yeah,
there. He could have done it. I think he even
absolutely.
took some photos of himself in Delphi that day. They
Yeah.
could have been posted maybe that
Hmm.
day from another day, but I mean, it's a fact. He posted something on Facebook that he was
Hmm.
in Delphi the day, I believe, with his boss, if I'm not mistaken.
All I know at that time that he was homeless. This is from what his family had told me. He was homeless. Um, but what I found interesting too, speaking of his Facebook, if you go on his Facebook the day after the murders, or maybe it was like on the 15th, Brian normally is a very absorbed person. He likes to look a certain way. Oh,
Hmm.
sorry. I thought you were doing something.
No, there was a mosquito on my thing.
Oh, okay. Um, what was I saying? Sorry, train of thought.
Brian Chadwell, likes to be a certain
Oh,
way,
yeah,
look a
sorry.
certain way.
He really does. He likes to wear what I would consider him to be like an Ed Hardy kind of guy,
Hmm.
a very specific way of dressing. He likes to have his hair
Gauges.
done, gauges, jeans he's always a clean looking guy, cleanly shaven. He
Hmm.
doesn't look like a monster, but that's the thing. When you go on his Facebook, the first post that he made after Delphi was with him and one of his dogs. I think his dog was named Outlaw, or maybe it was a puppy before that. But um, he he looks like shit. Like absolutely, he looks tired. He looks, I mean, not just tired. Like he looks worn down,
Hmm.
and that's not normal for him. It's just not. He would never. He was always, slapping on cologne or making his hair look a certain way. But this picture, he said something about sometimes you have to teach your kids who to listen to
Yeah.
or something,
Hmm.
which people can take that a
Yeah.
different way. But yeah, I don't know.
What did
That
Doug Carter
post.
say? Doug Carter said this person's going to change kind of like their lifestyle, and you might see some changes after the crime. So,
And
I mean,
he did, yeah. He changed where he was living. He went from not living anywhere, really just kind of bumming out underneath bridges and stuff, to couch surfing with a few friends. His dad's house. I don't know how much I can really say, but even if he wasn't locked up, he is no longer welcome at any of his family's homes. None of them.
well,
Like,
was it his brother-in-law, somebody who came out on the media and was kind of like, "Hey, I wouldn't put it past this guy."
talking about the blonde guy.
Reddish blonde, strawberry blonde, I think, with a goatee, long goatee.
Yeah, I think that's his brother.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
he flat out said, "Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him."
Oh yeah, Laban. Yeah, he was such an awesome guy. Yeah, and they were all so overly helpful. They all believe that he's bridge guy. And like there
Really?
were some issues with Brian's tattoos, and yes, there is one that looks like Libby, but it was taken or it was done before Delphi murders happened. But see, Brian also did most of his tattoos himself.
Yeah, he's
And
an artist. He's a pretty good artist.
incredible artist. Yeah, I mean, he's so talented, and it's just a shame that he went the way he went. You know.
Sweet says, wouldn't Chadwell have DNA on file? But we know that there was a recent video where Tobe Lesenby was like, yeah, we have DNA. He was asked, do you know it's the killer's DNA? He said, we don't know. So we can have DNA, but whose DNA is it?
Do they really have DNA either? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
they're allowed to fib in order to keep the investigation closed.
Legally,
I
they're
get
allowed
that.
to. Yeah,
Yeah,
legally,
I
they
mean,
can lie.
which sucks because, whatever they're saying, people like us are listening to that, and there are other people who take every word that was spoken and just rip it apart,
You know how many
so
people are triggered right now by what you just said? There's some people out there that'll be like, well, it's none of your business anyway. Leave it to law enforcement.
well, I would say, sure, we have left it to law. It's been 5 years, maybe they need help.
They get
Maybe they
paid by
should
the
say
hour.
more.
I do this stuff for
Yeah,
fun. I'm doing my part.
right.
Paying
It's
back. I'm giving back.
Yeah, and I honestly don't think that it's the police that are going to solve this. Excuse me. I really don't. I think it's going to be someone who is just like us, who,
Curious.
yeah. Let me see. I need a drink of water really quick.
Sure.
There we go.
No, not if he's looking for attention. Mindy says, regarding JP, just my opinion,
Mhm.
seems he would not be coming on YouTube channels if involved in the murder. Um, that's just puts way too much pressure and spotlight on a person. Dunno. My opinion is this: the same thing that causes people to commit these crimes, in the end, is the same thing that will get them busted for it.
Ooh, I like that. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Let me see if he was not, or if he was involved. As far as putting too much pressure and spotlight on a person, I feel like that's what some people want. They want that attention. They want to be known as someone who could have something to do with something, you know. So
Well, I mean, look how much attention we're giving it,
right.
Give it all this attention. The reason we're giving it attention is so that we can catch that person. But similar people see that attention and they see it almost like they're kind of the people that go for the bad guy in a movie. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. Let me see. Someone just said if he pleads guilty to the girl, why deny Delphi? Oh, I mean, can I answer that really quick?
Yeah, these are all for you.
Okay. So if he pled guilty to the girl, he pled guilty to the little girl. Because he was dead to rights. I mean, there's a cop cam of them walking into the basement and seeing her at the bottom of it. Like, for one, there's no way of him getting out of that. He literally that video is of them walking in and seeing a naked 9-year-old girl chained to the bottom of his basement. He's sick. But why deny Delphi? Maybe he's ashamed of it. I also feel like going to prison for hurting one 9-year-old girl compared to hurting a 9-year-old girl and killing 2 teenage girls.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, he's going to have a hell of a time locked up, and that's only going to make it worse. So, I mean, I don't know.
Could be the death penalty also.
Mm-hmm. Well, and when he was sentenced, he only got, I think it was 90 years. I mean, he could have gotten 160. So,
yeah, they would have put him to death, I think, if he had Delphi.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So, let's see what else we got.
Sure.
If you see any, let me know. I'll grab them, throw them up.
No, you're fine. I feel like there's a little bit of a delay on my end. We're way out in the country, so sometimes we can get a little.
Here's one. Here's a good
delay.
one. Chihuahua Dawson says again, I don't think it's Chadwell. However, it is good to agree to disagree. Classy chat. Well done, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chihuahua.
Yeah.
Appreciate
like I said, he's my number one POI for a lot of reasons. I did a couple episodes on him on Dead Academy. But it's not him. Great, great. Give me something to cancel out and we can start on somebody else. But for
Mm-hmm.
right now, I'm going with JBC, or as my cousin likes to call him, Junior Bacon Cheese.
Junior Bacon Cheeseburger.
Junior Bacon. Yeah,
JBC.
JBC.
Yeah, and it's good that he's locked up,
Hmm.
you know,
Oh, absolutely.
so
Yeah.
don't have to worry about him too much either way.
Well, and that's something else too. If you go back on Brian's Facebook, you can see almost a pattern where he seems like everything's okay. He's being really supportive and wants unity and bringing everybody together. And then something will happen. I don't know what, but something will happen, and it will slowly morph into these really short posts. And then it's almost like something explosive happens, and then he just goes quiet. And then it's
Yeah.
almost like he has to take more time to sober up, is what his family would say. When he was sober, he was great. But the second he starts drinking, it's done. Like he completely transforms into a totally different human being, into like a
Yeah.
monster.
If you had violent tendencies and you're drinking and just hanging out in the woods where you're just all alone, you're going to turn into Lord of the Flies out there.
Oh yeah, yeah. But that was where he wanted to be. Brian didn't want to be someone's roommate or, which by the way, his other home, he lived in Peru. He had another locked room in that house.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. His siblings were telling me about it. Like no one was allowed in there. You couldn't even go near it. Like it was just locked from the
That's
outside.
creepy.
It is. It's like, well, it could have been a lot of things. Maybe he was growing weed, or maybe he had some weird porn collection or whatever. But yeah, that's something that they all brought up. They were like, yeah, this isn't the first time that he's ever had a locked room. That's kind of his thing. But yeah, he's not a good guy.
I
I
would
would
say
say yes.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Because non-secular signatures are primarily religious based. And a rosary, I mean, that's Catholicism. I would say that would be absolutely, for sure.
Let's ask Mr. B guys a question. What do you think the signatures were that were left there at the crime scene? Since you seem to know so much.
Yeah, what do you got to say about it?
Mr. Gingerbread Man. His voice didn't match. I thought that's who Jen was referring to. Yeah. Brian Chadwell.
Mm-hmm. Well, and another little thing about Brian. So the rest of his siblings, they're all full blood. He was the only one that was half. His actual biological father, from everything I've heard, he was kind of a wild, rough kind of guy. But I'm trying to think of like what I can and cannot say. His other half brother is in prison right now for trying to strangle someone under the age of 14. So that
Really?
kind of violence is on that side of the family, whereas the other side were the people that I got to meet and spend time with, and they're not like that. But they all know their Bible. They all are outdoorsy people, and every single one of them says that he's it. And they've even tipped him in. Like they tipped him in right after Delphi, and were like, "Dude, check out my son or my brother or my
Like
cousin or
even
whatever."
before all this stuff?
Yeah, yeah. He
Wow.
was tipped off. I think I'll have to ask just to make sure. I'm pretty sure it was like a few days after Delphi, like when it broke, and everything was kind of like brought out, and that's when they were like, "That's him. That's him. Absolutely."
That's interesting. That's some inside information about Chadwell right there.
Oh, I can keep going. Like I've been on his ass since April, so I'm hoping that he will write me back and I can really dive into his life, because I want to know how he got to where he's at.
Yeah, you can tell he's kind of suffering from something. He suffers, you can just tell. Wonder if he
Yeah,
had some trauma when he was younger or
he did.
in prison or something.
He did. Yeah. When he was younger, I want to say around the age of 9, he was in and out of like JDC's different group homes just to trying to like balance out his mood swings. What started it though is he has dark hair. Everybody else in his family are like snow white blonde haired, and that's what kind of started um, his spiral. Really, is why do I have brown hair but my brothers and sisters all have blonde? So when his
I
mom
wonder
told
if
him,
I wonder
hmm?
if his father kind of looked at him weird too.
As far as I know, his biological dad just kind of got out of there. So the other guy, his stepdad, he's not in really great health right now, and a lot of that is because of Brian. Like he's literally given him, I think it was like 7 different heart attacks. So he's an intense person to have. Um, yeah, he started at like 9 and then in and out of jails and everything. I know he went to prison for I think it was like 14 years. He beat the shit out of a prison guard and a police officer. Like him himself beat the shit out of 2 different guys, big dudes. He went to prison for 14 years for it. You
So
know?
that means that he would have the skills it would take to commit a crime perpetrated against 2 young teenagers who were
Hmm.
both pretty athletic. To a
Yeah.
normal person, they could put up a fight.
Oh, absolutely.
They probably both knock me down and then laugh. But somebody that's
Right.
been doing 100,000 push-ups a day,
Right.
yeah, you could grab both of them with one arm, I bet.
Well, and Brian was also really heavily into boxing, and he was really good at it. His hands, even though I haven't got to meet him and see him, but his family were showing me pictures. His hands are deformed, like from him just hitting and punching, and he always wants to hurt people. And it just, I feel like if you put someone like him out in the woods of Delphi at that time, of course he would have all of those clothes on and be layered up because he's homeless. That's where he's been living. Those are his clothes. That's what he would have. Um, put that kind of guy out there at that time of day. I could totally see him doing that. Why, I don't know. I keep going back to like, maybe did the girls see, and this is for whoever Bridge Guy is, like maybe did they see him? Maybe they snickered or, did something that 14-year-old girls do, and maybe that kind of triggered Bridge Guy into doing whatever he did.
Well, when I was talking with Julian, I asked him, I said, "Hey, why don't you tell me a little bit about the questions they asked you in your interview?" And he said, "Come on, we know you were out there taking photos. What'd they do? Make fun of you? And you
Mhm.
you just flipped out?" He said that was a question that they asked him.
Really?
Hmm.
See, that would make sense. I mean, and with someone like Julian, I could see that being the thing. You know, maybe he was just out there having a stroll or doing whatever, taking some pictures, and just like we saw in those videos, he just instantly snaps.
Yeah, it's
So
possible. Well, he
definitely.
talks a lot. Sometimes when I talk to Julian,
Hmm.
it almost at some points it felt like he was his own POI.
Oh yeah, and he was just trying to pick and see if
Yeah,
he
he's
thought
like, "Is
that.
this real? Did I really do that?
Hmm.
Is it a dream? I don't know. I may have blacked out." And so he's like, he wants to reach out to people like us
Hmm.
to try to like ask questions like, so what happened? Like, what was at the crime scene? And he's like, "Oh wow, that's what was in my dream."
Right.
He kept asking me about the cemetery, the cemetery, the cemetery. Like, oh man, like I really
Hmm.
hope it's not the cemetery.
Yeah, and then he turned right around and told me, he's like, I don't really know where the cemetery is, and I don't, blah blah blah. But if you've been to the bridge, to Wilson Bridge, like he and I were talking about, the one that he just thought that he went to, you had to driven past that cemetery. It's literally on the same road, 300 North, and you can't miss it. Like it's a narrow cemetery, but like when you're driving on that road, it's the only thing on that road that you can really stop and see.
Oh, that reminds me. You're the only, and this is the reason why I wanted you to come on my YouTube channel.
Hmm.
I was amazed by the interview and I was amazed by everything that came from it. There's so much information that
Thank
Julian
you.
provided. It was kind of
Hmm.
like part two. It was
Right.
great. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like I was glued to the screen, like, oh my God.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. we loved it. Everybody loved it. We appreciate what's going on. But also that theory that you had, that was my very first theory. When
About
you
Wilson
look,
Bridge.
well, I started with Wilson's Bridge,
Okay.
and then I started thinking maybe that's too far, and I kind of scooted up a little bit closer up the road to
Mhm.
this pull off area. It almost looks like a drain off for that farm
Okay.
property.
Okay.
And there's an area where you can pull off there, simply cross the street, and you're already on those backwoods paths to where the crime scene was. So when
Okay.
you said that, I was like, man, this person thinks just like me. They never had to be on the trail. They never had to be anywhere near it. They could have simply been back in the southeast area, left. Nobody would have ever seen them.
And whoever did it knew that area. I mean, that's without. I mean, I don't even think that needs to be said because it's such a unique area. I mean, forget the Monon High Bridge. There's so much other stuff around there. If you don't know where you're going, for one, you're going to get hurt. I mean, there's drop offs and deep ravines, and so whoever was there, I really don't think that he used the bridge necessarily. I feel like he was on the other side
Hmm.
towards seclusion, towards privacy, towards places where the trails don't take you, you know.
Possibly even live in one of those homes.
Maybe, or one of the
Yeah.
barns. Someone had mentioned maybe he was being a part of the Mears barn, the red barn. There's a couple red barns out there, but I don't
Um,
know.
Fallon,
Yeah.
just real quick because of time, um, let's go ahead and we'll continue with the Delphi talk when we
Okay.
bring on Kate from Crime Dive.
Okay.
By the way, that's a surprise, everybody. Kate will be joining us here shortly.
Yay.
You're welcome. Apparently, it's your doppel.
Right. That's what I've been heard. Yeah, that's what people keep saying.
Yeah, it's so strange. But there's a case that you mentioned, Christopher Bennett.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? I haven't heard much about this.
And you know what? Right. It's so I was looking up to sign some kind of petition somewhere, and I just happened to glance over and I saw this guy, Christopher Bennett, and it said that he was in prison. His sentence was 1,800 years. Okay, so that's what got me. I was like, oh, what'd this guy do? You know, I've never heard of a sentence like that. I mean, shit, Jeffrey Dahmer got what, 900 years for killing all those people? So I started looking into it, and it's really it just breaks your heart. This guy, Chris, he was 18. This happened in 2002, I think, or maybe it was 2003. So he had a stepdad. His name was Vince. He was a pedophile. He had been molesting Chris for years, and Chris's younger siblings, they're all female. Without getting into too much, that's a whole other story, but Chris actually walked in on his stepdad, Vince, raping his 6-year-old sister.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Like Chris walked in on this and he saw it in the when it was happening. And he pulled out a gun and shot the guy and killed him. And first of all, good, like it's just anyone that can hurt kids just makes me sick. But
Yeah.
so, he comes from kind of an indigent family, there's not like they're college bound and, have millions. He's a very simple kind of guy from a simple family. When the police got involved, they were basically like, what happened? And he said, this is what had happened. Well, Vince's family did have money. They had a lot of money. And it was basically, well, now Vince is dead, so how are we going to, prove that any of this really happened? And Chris took a plea deal. It was either the death penalty or 1,800 years in jail. And he had no legal representative. No one ever conducted any interviews. And he is still sitting. It's been like, he is still sitting in prison. And he has that sentence of 1,800 years. And he had no prior criminal record. He is not a violent guy. I've been chatting with him. He does amazing things from prison. He teaches different classes. He got his high school diploma. He's doing so much with his life. Yet, to me anyway, he's a hero. And we're keeping someone like that locked up when there are actual bad guys out there right now harming kids that need to be put away for 1,800 years, not someone that actually rescued his sisters. And they were just on the Dr. Phil show in December, I believe, talking about it. And I mean, Dr. Phil, he was pissed. You know, everyone was pissed when they first heard about it. And
Mhm.
I just want people to kind of reach out and just kind of learn a little bit about his story, and if they're able to help
Christopher
him.
Bennett.
Christopher Bennett. If you go on Facebook, it's hashtag free Christopher Bennett. His family's on there. I'm really close with him and his mom, Libby. She's fantastic. But they could really use all the help right now that they can get. Virginia just got a new governor, and they're kind of trying to find ways that we can get him out of there, because he did what I honestly, Sleuth, think that I would have done. I can't think of anybody who would have saw
What the
that and
judge
not
would
done
have
that.
done. That's what I was thinking. That was another question before we
Mhm.
bring Matt and Kate on here.
Sure.
There's got to be something else, because I mean, there's not a judge, there's not a law enforcement officer, there's not anybody, maybe a few pacifists,
Mhm.
who may not have protected that girl that way. I know I would have.
Mhm.
I probably would have done a lot worse,
Right? Like,
Um,
yeah.
So there's
Vince
got to be
too.
something
You
else
know,
that-
like you never found his body.
oh yeah, that's just a new garden. Don't worry
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
But something had to have happened. There had to have been some type of maybe premeditation or something along those lines that justified this type of sentence. Was there anything like that involved?
A little
Just-
bit, and it's such bullshit when you like really get down to it. So again, you'd have to get more involved into the case to really pick through it. But
I
so
will.
Vincent, yeah, it's crazy. Vincent was actually going to be testifying in court with Chris, and Chris was being bribed by Vincent to testify negatively against his mom, Libby. And
Oh, God.
Vincent had actually offered Chris a check. I forget what amount, not that that really matters, but actually Chris went over and he was packing, he had a gun. It's, country in Virginia, of course everyone's going to have a, gun somewhere. But yeah, he went to his house, walked in, and was going to be like, hey, give me that check. Like, I'm going to take this check to the court, and you're not going to bribe me. Like, I'm not going to talk shit about my own mother. Well, when he got there and he walked in, that's what he saw. And when you hear what he saw, when you hear the little girl now as an adult talk about what it was like for her when she saw her brother come in and see that, there's no way he should not be locked up. He just
She's
shouldn't.
she must be a huge advocate for
They
him.
all are. Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate you bringing some light to a new case for us. Christopher Bennett, that's new for us. We'll definitely take a look.
Thank you.
But right now we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring on Crime Dive, and we're going to talk a little bit with them.
Sure.
We're going to talk about the funny mishap, people confusing you and Kate. It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
Maybe it was my fault. I said Crime Dive, brought this to my attention, and I think they thought.
Oh, gotcha.
They just assumed. But we'll go ahead and we'll bring Crime Dive on.
Great.
Oh God.
Get on there.
Surprise!
Okay. Matt's here too.
I am here, but
Oh wait, there we go.
a little jammed up.
There we go.
There you are.
We
Hey guys.
we
Hello.
are just not used to using Dell computers, so forgive us.
Yeah.
Well, I want to introduce Falon Marston, the host of Dead Academy,
Hi, guys.
to Crime
Hi,
Nice to
Fallon.
Dive,
meet you.
Matt Sullivan and Kate Y. These two are great people.
I've
And
heard.
Fallon, you're going to love them.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you
You
guys.
too.
Thank you.
Nice to meet y'all. Nice to meet my voice doppelganger.
Yeah. Do you hear it, or is that just something else that
I think it's
kinda
just
do?
I think that it's just we're two women with relatively lower voices, a
Mhm.
little bit like tomboyish sort of voices. So then, of course, all the sleuth, the internet sleuths have to be like, of course they're the same person.
Oh,
It's
right.
a conspiracy.
Yeah.
But
Who
no,
is
so-
Kate. Yeah.
Yes, Fallon, Kate,
Right.
Matt, sleuth. Cool.
Right.
This way. There we go.
See, I told you, you can't have two Kates occupying the same space and time. It's just not
Very
possible.
true.
Just implode.
It's universally impossible. It's been tested.
Right.
So, Crime Dive, what did you guys think about Kate's interview with JP?
It was very interesting to hear how lucid he was during that.
I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I
good
think-
job, Kate, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
no
job.
problem.
Yeah.
That was totally
Really
me.
good. You did a really good job.
No, I thought that
It's Falon. I'll stop.
Falon did the interview, not me.
Right.
So I loved both of y'all's interviews for different reasons, and I think that it was interesting to hear yours, Falon, because it was like he really was sort of giving a little bit more detail and like slipping out of that sort of like he knows very little, like confusing like super prime members of the, that are not involved in the crime, but surrounding the crime.
Right.
Just confusing their names, like acting like he doesn't really 100% know the crime very well. But then after you talk to him a little bit more, he would say like a really, really minute detail that really only somebody that knows the case really well.
Right.
It's usually how it happens, though.
Yeah, and it was
they
just
slip up.
Well, it wasn't even like, I kind of wonder if he like actually slipped up or if he doesn't like really realize that he's doing it, and like if he did slip up, is he just like rolling with it? You know what I mean? It's like I'm trying to sort of tell where his head is at, and it's really kind of hard to tell.
Sometimes I feel like he's doing what we were doing, just kind of playing a little bit dumb, kind of playing a little possum a little bit. He's doing what we're doing back. But I thought you did wonderful, Falon. That's why a lot of people were like, why is she doing this, or why is she taking this approach? I knew exactly what was going on.
Okay,
and when he was begging you, he begged you to stay on that line. That was the verification of what I did.
Well, you know what's crazy? When he and I were first chatting, he asked me like how much or how long did I want this chat to be? And I mean, as long as you want it to be. So I was like, I don't know, 20 minutes, maybe 20, 30 minutes, just to just to see. And it ended up being like an hour. I mean, he loved to talk.
It was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I thought maybe he'd get uncomfortable and get off in the middle, but you were really good at kind of keeping him feeling in that safe zone, even though there were questions that you were asking that were kind of making him have to say things that maybe we wouldn't say it that way,
Right. Yeah, that's something I really wanted to do with him, is just, make him comfortable, because clearly we can tell from some of his videos that he can be explosive, he can be very passionate, and he can be very calm, so me getting him comfortable was something that I had to do, and I know I got a lot of slack for that, but I just felt like if he's comfortable enough, maybe he can start talking a little bit more, and then once you get him
last
going,
thing you want is awkward pauses too, because then you sort of lose momentum.
Right. Well, and you don't want to spook him either. You don't want to, are you bridge guy? Let's lead up to that. Like, what do you have to say about it? Which I thought was interesting. When I asked him, I said, are you bridge guy? You just prove it. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. Just, if you think I am, prove it.
He wasn't sure.
Right. Yeah.
That was the weirdest part for me, was just hearing his response to that question, like what would you say to those who accuse you of being the killer? And he really didn't. Like, I would have responded like offended and been like, listen, I'm not, and it just doesn't seem like he even thought that was a way out of that question, and I don't know why.
Unless he's like playing with fire, and this is just like this ultimate charade that he's just kept up for this long because God knows why. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because really, he's getting like notoriety out of it, I guess, but it's like it's not good, and it's also implementing yourself in a double homicide capital murder case. So it's like
he could be trying to punish his family. Also, he may feel somewhat abandoned, and he may be doing this to somehow affect them in a negative way, possibly.
Yeah, let's hope it's not that.
Yeah.
Because that's just a horrible conclusion to an already horrible situation.
Right.
If he ends up being the guy, then that shows the collateral damage of all of this pretty well.
Right.
But like I said the last time I called in, Sleuth, I definitely think, regardless of what ends up happening with Julian, to look into him as much as we all have here is foolish. Or to not look into him is foolish.
Yeah.
Because,
we were talking about that.
Yeah, he really is, like you said, Sleuth, like a shiny needle in this haystack of just, a bunch of different stuff, straws going everywhere. And so it's like, why would you not, why would you not investigate him? And why would you think that it's a waste of time? Like some people claim it to be that. And I just completely blows my mind that that would even be something anyone would consider that's like devoted to this case.
I mean, it could be a waste of time, but I'm not going to dismiss it as that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There does seem to be a flurry of things going on behind the scenes, though, that were not occurring until this whole thing kind of came out. And, you know, we've been down this road before where it seemed like it's going to go in a certain direction and it didn't, or we didn't hear anything else. But this feels different.
And here's a question for y'all. Were you done? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So did you guys notice that off of Indiana, I believe Indiana State Police, but definitely the FBI, off of their person of interest sheet, like the wanted thing, they've today so actually let me back up. A couple days ago, they dropped the weight by 10 pounds, I believe, or 20 pounds. They dropped the weight by 20 pounds of the POI. Today, they took away the age, the height, and the weight.
Really?
It's gone.
Who knows? But it's interesting that sketch is still there. I don't know why, if it's connected only to the Snapchat profile. For a while there, I was thinking that would be the first thing that they would remove from these posters, but it seems like they're removing all the information that they've put out there over the last few years.
But I mean, go look for yourself. You look at the poster now on the FBI. There's no age, there's no height, there's no weight. Not anymore, as of today.
Don't know what that means, but
yeah, I mean, like, why now? Like, what? I mean, did you guys see the HLN special last weekend?
Yeah, I wasn't too impressed by it.
No.
I thought there was going to be a little more information going out there, but it doesn't seem like they really introduced a whole lot, other than maybe a couple like the timestamp information.
That was interesting. Yeah,
it's pretty interesting that photo was a lot closer to when they were abducted than I originally thought.
Yeah, which is crazy because like that's how long, if you can actually cross that bridge, beginning to end would take you 6 minutes at a steady pace would take you.
And that's at a decent pace. Like maybe your first time being on there like that. That could take upwards of 15 minutes to get across. It's pretty scary.
We crossed it, and I was crying the entire time.
Right? I made it to the very first side platform. Mm-hmm. So what 60 feet out, and me and actually Brian Chadwell's family, like we just kind of buckled down and like had to crawl back. I was like, I can't do this. Like if you don't know that area, you don't know where to put your feet. You're going to take your time. And if that guy got to them in 6 minutes, he knew exactly where to put his feet.
Absolutely.
He knew exactly where he was going, what he was after. And it just to see how quickly. But yeah, I feel like the rest of the HLN thing was, I mean, it was great, but it was pretty much just the Down the Hill podcast.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like they had so much, I mean, I guess, there might be legal reasons, but it's like they had so much information when they interviewed Kagan in jail. And then it's like, all it was sort of like, did you know that you were the last person to talk to Libby? And he's like, no.
Right.
And then that was
I don't even remember talking to them.
Honestly, I mean, do you guys think he's anywhere involved with them at all?
I think the Anthony Schatz profile is connected to the murders.
He's at least culpable in some facet.
I'm not saying that he, the murders is a cause of something that he set out to accomplish with someone else, but I'm saying that maybe some things that he was doing online led to the killer coming in contact with that profile and then that victim. So sort of a culpability more than being directly responsible for the crime.
And I mean, he may not have. I mean, there's a chance that the profile was cloned and like Kagan had no idea.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Right.
So it's just sort of like either he did help somebody out and he was sort of in cahoots with the guy that did it, or somebody totally went out from underneath him and cloned the profile or hacked him. I lean less towards hacking because he would be able to sort of see the messages. So
police would see that too.
I would go more with cloning it.
So if they had the login information from one of the original profiles, they would be able to see everything that has ever logged into that, and that gives them the specifics for the warrant and the items they're looking for, things like that. So the killer would have had to have created a profile or been in contact with Anthony Schatz.
Falon, did you tell him the information you told me in regards to the iPhone?
About Julian's iPhone? No, I did not. Excuse me. So I think we've been chatting for, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks now, off and on. And I'm pretty sure he had like an Android phone. It would be like a green bubble. You know, I have an iPhone, so it would come up blue. Well, I sent him a message earlier today just asking, hey, hoping, hopefully you're doing okay, blah, blah, blah. He switched he has a different phone. He has an iPhone now. And he read my message. I don't know if you guys can see that. But like, he read it like right after I sent it to him, but he didn't respond. And that's odd for him, considering that, the last couple of weeks we've just been, good morning, how's it going? How are you? Just kind of shooting the shit. So
yeah, I wonder if law enforcement can take over a number.
That's what I was going to ask. That was going to be my question. What you thought about that?
Oh, that's interesting. I never even thought about that.
But I'm not saying that's what's going on, but maybe that's possible.
It is interesting. He definitely
The timing.
Right. If he did have that meeting last Monday, if he did, how did it go? Why do you have a different phone now? Where have you been for the last week? Not that I walked away, with BFF bracelets with him, but I do care about him, and I hope he's doing okay, and I wanted to know. But it's been like crickets chirping, so I don't know.
Did you see that?
That girl, it's on the Indiana State Police website.
It's on ISP. It's
I think Kate misspoke.
I maybe misspoke, but if you look, it's the one that with like the blue header with the yellow writing that everybody sees all the time, and it's gone.
That's crazy.
Not really sure why they would remove the stats.
Becky had said the FBI too, but it's definitely removed from the ISP.
Well, what'd she say?
She said that the FBI had removed it, but I'm not sure if what she was necessarily looking at, but it's definitely gone from Indiana State Police.
There's definitely something going on. There's a change going on here.
And there's been a few different arrests, kind of peculiar arrests. Who was it, that dispatcher?
Luke Jobs.
Yep.
And you guys remember our conversation about Luke?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wasn't that suspicious?
Well, and there was a catfishing profile that under the name Lucas.
Also, Luke was also doing Google uploads to the cemetery photos in the bridge as well.
Interesting.
And Julian even mentions him as his friend Luke in my interview.
Wow.
Well, not his friend. He says another local guide, Luke.
Well, and what's also interesting is there's images on Google of the Freedom Bridge that were uploaded by Julian, and it's like on the same page. You can kind of look at the I think it's Bridge Hunter. It's Bridge Hunter, and there's credits to Lucas.
There's lots of stuff on Google Maps as well that Julian is. Well, put up
when I was talking with Julian, he said, "I go, hey man, where's all the original stuff?" I was like, "Don't you hold on to that?" He's all, "Oh, it's still on Bridge Hunter," is what he said.
Yeah, that 360 image is not on there. I don't believe.
I checked.
Wow.
A little more information for you, Falon.
Yeah, he just keeps getting more and more interesting, I swear.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that struck me, Falon, that he said on your interview was he was talking about Bridge Guy's hips being slight, he
talked about how much thinner he looked, or he was.
And that he could have just piled on the layers to make himself look bigger.
Filled his jacket with some items or something. There just some strange statements that he made during your interview that you didn't ask. You didn't really ask about the locks of hair either, and he kind of presented
that
blew my mind, because we said that at the exact same time, and I just kind of was like, maybe they cut her hair, and then but like to hear him say it, I was like, man, that's awfully specific.
Well, and it goes back to the sort of thing we were talking about, how he'd be like, just say something completely incorrect about the case that's a rookie mistake, and then would say that.
Yeah.
Where it's just that's a little bit too, like, it feels just like on purpose, like either he's playing with us or it's
it's so hard to figure out too, because he seems so genuine, like speaking to him, it wasn't a difficult, time to talk with him. It just,
No,
he's hard to
No.
figure out. He really is.
he
There's
seemed put
something about
together.
him.
There weren't any moments that I remember off the top of my head where he seemed to aimlessly start talking about something weird.
But then you look
Right.
at his TikTok and it's like, what is going
But what do you guys think about the fact that when he says things like a lock of hair, there's people out there that are saying that that's an indication that he's kind of toying with us, and that's kind of like what a lot of people assume anyway, and it's kind of been spoken about, and that's evidence that he's just kind of messing with us. I keep hearing a lot of that.
I think that the naysayers are going to constantly say that it isn't him. Well, we've been doing this long enough to know that that's just the way this sort of demographic of people operate. They believe in a person of interest, and they get tunnel vision, and then they get mad at us when we change direction or we start looking at something else.
Oh yeah.
But you got to follow the evidence, and if you don't, then what's the point of like
one or two coincidences, okay, but this guy's got like 30 coincidences.
Well,
It's like
I
every
only
time
need the one.
question's asked.
I only need the one. He said I
What's
was
that?
there. I only
Yeah.
need the one. I was there, and I was there around 3:00, and I saw two girls, and I didn't want to creep them out. That's enough for me.
And that was
That's
like
all I
probably the craziest thing. It's like, Fallon, you added on to an already insane interview that Sleuth did, where it was sort of just, I mean, because y'all were just talking, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, I think I was there."
Yeah, and I used to drive around the cemetery at night. Like, what? Like, you guys aren't hearing that? Did you hear this?
Everyone was like, did you just hear that did he really say that?"
Oh
But-
yeah.
Am I the only one? What? Like, what's going on? Where am I right now? Like, you're not concerned about this?
And the
Right.
other thing is the desecrating the graves, like the pee break or whatever it was, that thing that he had mentioned was,
Yeah. I
That's
never
weird.
considered that.
There were a
Yeah.
number of very strange things.
yeah.
The guy's at least mentally ill.
Yeah. Yeah.
At worst, it's even worse than that. So he needs to be vetted, looked into by law enforcement, and I think that until we have sufficient evidence that he's not being looked into, that we have every right to kind of sit in this weird gray area about him.
And the thing about
Absolutely.
Julian is, I would never like do side by sides or anything unless
No.
you're super close to the case, or you're already a felon locked up
Right.
or wanted for being a child predator, or you personally inject yourself into the matter, which he did.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I agree. He did this to himself, and it's not a negative if he is who he's claiming he is. Then hopefully it'll help the victims, and if not, then hopefully he'll get the help that he needs. Because only an ill person would do this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's a husband, he's a father, you want what's best for him, and especially for Julian's
For his family.
I mean, we had chatted about, I have kids, he has kids, and it's just, you could hear that part of him where it's like he does have some normalcy to him. He is a husband, he does have children, but then there's that other side of him that's that, passionate.
That's the guy. That's the guy we're looking for.
Yeah, like I want to talk.
That's
to
the part that we're concerned about.
Right.
Is that part. And deep down, I'm concerned for his family as well. I don't want them to hurt any more than they already have.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I can tell you this for a fact. I've spoken to people that, when you say family, I don't want to be too specific. It could be somebody close to the family, or even a friend that could possibly be considered family. I asked them, what would you want from us? And I was talking to them as us as a collective, because they've seen all of these interviews and they know I'm working with people behind the scenes to try to help them. They thanked us. They said without our help, they would not have been able to bypass that tip line and be anonymous and then made to feel comfortable enough to speak the actual truth. And these are the same people that were being asked to interview 2 weeks after the murders, and they refused.
Wow.
There are things behind the scenes that just make it impossible to walk away from at this point. And for
Not
me,
until it's over.
anyways, for
Yeah,
us.
not until it's over.
But
Absolutely, yeah. There's something about him. I don't know what it is, but there's something about him that needs to be put to rest so we can move on
yep,
to
perfect.
someone
I
else.
agree.
That's pretty much what Becky has said.
We got
more
a sorry guys, we got a super chat.
Woo!
She says
Hey.
regarding JP, the pick is staged. Look at the gloves. What's wrong here? It's what's LM? What am I missing there?
Logan Maxwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one to be looking at. You're closer, in my unprofessional opinion. Well, my opinion is unprofessional as well. So we're in on that together. Trust your instincts. Thanks for the super chat. Logan Maxwell. Yeah, they served a search warrant on. They served a search warrant on Logan Maxwell, and some say
one of the first.
He's kind of hard. He's kind of hard to figure out stuff about. Like he's
Bicycle Road, right?
Bicycle Bridge Road. Yeah, there was a warrant there, and they I think it was something about one of the guns that was in the house.
Well, I thought that they may have tied Anthony shots from there, right?
That's kind of what the rumor is, that somehow that led to information that led to Kagan Klein.
It's like a rumor, right? Nothing verified.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything.
The warrants were right after each other, so that might be where that comes from.
It was consecutively, so it just makes
it was
sense
around. It was like the
Slocum. You remember at the beginning of the case when the media was real heavy, almost every other day. Tony Slocum said, "We've served other search warrants. We've served plenty of search warrants, and even did polygraphs, like a bunch of polygraphs." So,
yep.
I
think that's what got Logan early on was his refusal to do a polygraph, and so it drew a lot of unwanted attention about the case onto him.
Like him and like Daniel Pearson, in the sense that like both of them lied, like for sure, but it's kind of crazy that they would lie just due to some small sort of thing that they did, because one of them didn't want to get caught with another girl, and the other one didn't want to get caught violating probation, so they lied about where they were, but there's a murder investigation going on, which blows my mind, because that
people assume that you can't be wrongfully convicted, and that's just not true.
Yeah, it can be. It happens all the time.
Yep.
Especially with DNA and trace evidence and planted stuff that's planted.
It was very risky for Ron Logan because his DNA would have been all over the area. So for him to be lying to police, over some driving violation, especially when the murder happened on his property, that was a pretty risky thing. And I think that's why the county really took offense to his lies and really threw the hammer at him.
Boy, did they ever! That was a hell of a
4
sentence
years
for that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow, it was
4 years.
So what do you guys think about apparently me and Falon have the same theory?
Yeah,
you guys know where the Williams Bridge is, right?
Yep.
Okay, her theory is that it goes that far back. Mine could be but let's say this perpetrator never entered that trail system.
Wilson, right? Wilson, you mean?
Wilson Bridge.
Yeah, Wilson
Bridge.
What did I say?
William.
Or
Williams.
Wilson Bridge.
Wilson's. Yeah, it's a tiny little bridge, and there's a little tiny pull off. I'm assuming it's for the fishermen. That's where I would go. I'd fish right there. It looks like deep water. But if you go a little bit further up, there's even a pull off there, and it looks like a drainage for that local farm.
I know exactly where you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's funny you say that, because that drain is the ravine that's between that hill and Logan's property right there. Mm-hmm. So he totally could have entered and escaped
through the ravine,
that area, and he would have been down about 5-6 feet lower than the road.
Right.
So he would have been able to get away by just going down that little track.
We've also crossed the creek.
I didn't even think about that.
And that's the easiest way to get up to the property to the Logan property is that dip in the ravine between Mears and Logan.
Yeah.
There's like some runoff or something.
It flattens out, right?
Yeah.
It flattens out completely.
Mm-hmm. It's maybe like maybe more than 10 feet high from the creek to Ron Logan's property. If you keep
I would say
going
15.
down, it's probably 15 feet. But there you can easily go in between. It dips down like this, and you can walk up like that.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually plan on going back there, hopefully sometime in the spring. When I was there this past summer, it was flooded. So all of my
Yeah.
plans to cross the creek and walk the creek, there was no way for that to happen. But yeah, that bridge. I'm not really focused on Freedom Bridge or Monon High. It's like the Wilson Bridge. That would be a perfect spot. My Jeep fit right in there, no problem. There was a little path that went down to the creek. I mean, and then if you kind of hug the creek bed and you go all the way back the opposite way toward the crime scene, I mean, even in February, you're going to be hidden. You know, no one's going to see you.
And it leads right in there.
Right,
leads right in
to
there.
it.
That's actually the drain that goes into Deer Creek.
Wow.
It was kind of funny to hear Julian talk about that bridge.
Oh yeah.
That he
And
had
he
never
knew it
been
by
on.
name. He knew
Yeah.
it by name.
And to drive there at night too, because I mean, it's already dark. Let's say, I mean, in this area, it gets dark at what, 5:30, 6 o'clock. So for him to get off of work at night and just go traipsing back in that area, I don't know. It's just
And the two,
Or like
the two-
looking for escape paths. Like
well,
it
the
just-
two people that interviewed Julian are the other person that interviewed Julian is the only person that ever had the exact same like theory that I have.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
People have been dismissing that theory from Gray Hughes to Greeno to Michael Catt to everybody's just like, what? Like it just didn't make sense to anybody. It's the first person.
Also,
Awesome.
just to say that, like, it's my first time on the trail. I haven't really ever done this, but then he's like, oh yeah, Wilson Bridge. It's just
Right. And that area is so congested. It's like if you don't know where you're at, you don't know where you're at all. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you know that area, you know every bit of that area because it's so tight. But
Well, there's been in the true crime community when it comes to Delphi, there's been a lot of dispute over how somebody would prepare for a crime like that they wouldn't use Google Maps and things like that. You know, there's always been this back and forth about that. And one thing that Julian said was that he loves to look at things from Google Maps.
He did say that, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I would do if I was planning a murder. I would just plan it out, and then I would go there physically. I would do both. You know?
Yeah. We know he's taking pictures of the spots.
Well, and another thing that we figured out, and we had mentioned this to you, Sleuth, is you remember how he told you he was like, oh, I went there after the murders to try to help out? Well,
Yeah.
there's an image of him standing on the south side of the bridge, right? And he takes a photo. There's no crime scene tape. He was there beforehand.
So it says February 2017.
And it says February 2017, and that crime scene tape was
Well, I
up
told
in-
him that. I told him
What?
that, and
Yeah.
I told him that, and I said, "What if I could tell you?" Because my first interaction with Julian Falon was with just like emails. So
Okay.
I have so much stuff from Twitter and all this that he's like, "I don't want you to show that," because it was really
Right.
argumentative and kind of painted him in a bad light.
Sure.
So we had a little interaction online, and he talks a lot about that stuff. It's so crazy.
Absolutely, yeah. He loves those Google Maps. He loves the aerial shots, all of that. But doesn't know the area very well. So,
Or claims.
But
right. Like,
he could be, even though he did all of this stuff, he could just be going through some type of episode, I guess, right now.
like a psychosis, maybe?
Yeah, like he's like in a moment of psychosis, and he could be completely innocent because back
Yeah,
in
and what
2000
people are kind of feeding him is, furthering this issue, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a huge thing about him in late 2019, early 2020, sorry. And on 4chan, everybody was going crazy, and then on Reddit, and he was a big deal. So he must have received a lot of attention. So if he's going through some type of issue where he's having trouble with his family, and he's going through
Right.
maybe he can't get his hands on the medication he needs, and because
I
he
think
doesn't
that's
have
it.
job security, maybe he's just having like a weird episode, and he's like, hey, I remember when I got all this attention for that Delphi stuff, because I went there a couple days after. Maybe
Good
I can
point.
go ahead and get all this attention again, by manipulating, those 4chan type people, which
Mhm.
he's talking to me because I was on 4chan when all of that was breaking.
Yeah.
I've been watching him since then. So for him to come back up, and then we see Libby's Twitter feed get hacked, and we realize, okay, it's by this, whether it's an Afghan bot or a Saudi bot or whatever, it doesn't matter, because Julian was mimicking what was going on at the
Yep.
same time on his own page, what he
Wasn't
was
that
saying.
wild?
Yes, and then you also got to take yourself back. I think, what was it, about 6, 7 months, where her Twitter was hacked
Yep.
by
Yeah.
somebody speaking English, and it was also something very similar to what Julian would be saying.
It was about like the bat, like the little bighorn and
Yeah,
the
it was like a
Shia.
code.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
strange.
Very
It was hard
strange.
to see Becky asking who it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's troubling.
It's
You know,
awful.
it really bothered me, to see that.
Like, she
Well,
should
and
know
who would
damn
do
well.
something like that? As if the family hasn't been hurt enough. Like, why? That's just a whole other level of just sick and twisted.
Yeah, and we know about the bot. We know that they take these abandoned Twitter accounts, and they're able to hack them probably quickly with some type of key generator or whatever.
Mhm.
But we're not referring to that. We're referring to the mimicking between that type of bot hacking, and maybe Julian could have even attempted to re-enter her account and said, "Well, the password's been changed."
And that's troubling, mimicking something that is, something that's, of course, of concern for people because, you're
That's
either
part of the
you're doing
crime.
it or you're further implicating yourself.
Yeah.
It's just,
Didn't he on Libby's thing? Like, didn't Libby's Twitter post an image of Purdue?
Yeah.
mhm.
So wouldn't that debunk the bot?
Yeah, I'm not concerned with that bot at all.
So I know there are
That
some
doesn't
that say
change.
that there's a bot, but
There was a bot.
I don't know. Like it seems like it intermittently would post
why not
things
have a
that make
bot?
no-
Check this out. Why not have a bot and then sneak your own little mimic bot in there
Yeah.
too? You know what
I
mean?
see. Yeah.
Clever girl. Yeah.
Yeah. And the person we're referring to is extremely clever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's almost like he's trying to make himself, I mean, for whatever reason, it's obvious that he's lucid enough to make himself seem like he's not, which is disturbing.
Well,
Right.
you see the people that get fooled. He's kind of helping me identify certain people.
yeah, us too.
You know what?
Us too.
Because even if he's trying to fool me, which he has done successfully, I give him that. Maybe part of me allowed it, I'm not sure, but he did pull one over on me, and he is currently in some way doing that now. But I think that the discernment that even Julian speaks about is the discernment that we have and that we're collectively using now to just not to accuse, but to vet at this point.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe somehow he feels worried, in these delusions that he might have done this.
Yeah, he could
I was
on
thinking
like
that
this is
too.
Cry for help, and
his own POI is what I always say. Imagine that. Imagine being your own person of interest. How
it'd
frustrating
be
would
awful.
that would be. You wake up and
Especially
you're
if
like,
you
"Did I do
legitimately
it?"
can't remember.
Yeah,
Well,
he
he
says,
claims to be having dreams where he sees through the eyes, sort of, and he's having these visions where he's seeing the two girls, but not wanting to come across as a weirdo, and saying that he drove to work that day, but decided midway through that he wasn't going to go anymore, and with the questions about his alibi and everything else,
well, because of
it's awful.
time, because we're probably going to end here at the 2-hour mark, and we're about
Okay.
15
Sure.
minutes to go. Falon,
Yeah.
give us everything you got on what we're talking about.
Oh, so one thing I was going to mention, Julian, when I was talking with him about medication, and he said that he only took Adderall, I feel like maybe that might not be the one that he needs to be on. Like, I feel like he definitely, either way, he definitely needs some kind of mental health.
Like some
Mental
value
health.
or something.
not even maybe that. Like, I mean, I'm on
I don't know.
lorazepam, which
See,
was a
I'm
funny
not.
joke, but
Look, for me to even mention any type of medication is disgusting because I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not. I can't diagnose somebody over a computer screen.
right,
That's not what I'm
right,
here to do.
right.
Sorry,
But
I yawn a lot.
I would
Am I boring you?
No, not at all.
Okay, just kidding.
it's almost midnight where I'm at, so yeah. No, I feel like Julian, without a doubt, up front, is definitely someone who needs a professional counselor or therapist of some point of some kind that can help not only everybody else, but first and foremost can help him figure out who he is,
Yeah.
what he's doing. And I really hope Julian gets that kind of help because I do feel like he's a nice guy, but there's all this other stuff surrounding him that we're all just like sitting back like, what are you
Well, there's
talking
also
about? You
this,
know?
Fallon. There's also this aspect. What if he does find out who he is and he does remember what he did do?
Great. Good. You know, that's great for him. That's great for the case and their families, or you know, maybe even if he wasn't a part of Delphi, what if there's something else that he's gonna be able to remember later on, or you know,
Mhm.
kind of try to like work through. But I really hope that he finds that help, and I know it's not really up to us to get that kind of info, but hopefully he reaches back out or we find something so we can at least, you know, stop digging on not digging at him, but find
Just
someone else
even
to
worrying
focus
about it.
on. Right,
Yeah, it's
you
kind of
know?
like family at the beginning when a crime happens. The family, they kind of understand, like, hey, you're going to vet us real quick. We're going to give you our DNA. We're going to give you
Right.
our alibis and then maybe a lie detector test. Now you know it wasn't us and you can go ahead and go on to everybody else.
Right. Next, you know, and I feel like we all want that. Like
Yeah.
it's such a very intense case, and I feel like it grabs everybody who takes the time to even look into it, you know, but I mean with it just being 5 years, it's like, come on, you know, something has to give. Something has to change. There has to be something new coming out, or, you know, put a rest to Julian or something. I don't know.
I
But
would like that because I'm just curious. And like what you said, Matt, least we'll know.
mhm,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
which I think is what we all want. We all want to know, you know.
I just want to know.
We just want to know. And
Bro, you told me you were there at the day, the time, and saw two girls, and you used the word creep out. That's all I need to hear, dude. I'm sorry. I'm calling the police.
good, yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, and those are all the things that police asked for. You know, he's
Did
he's
the
And then
acting
police get back
suspicious.
with
He's
you at all?
talking suspicious. He's saying things
yes,
that
they did.
make us question things. You know, he needs to be called in.
Did I not
It
talk with
needed
you
to
about
happen.
that, fella?
I maybe we briefly I don't know, did we?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
yeah. Law enforcement got back to me and I sent them, they asked for a copy of the interview.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So,
Yeah, because I was thinking, I mean, I got him to say a couple things, but nothing, you know, earth shattering other than the whole, you know,
No, the
locks of
fact that he
hair and
said, well, what I didn't even consider was the fact that if he's going into work around 4, he's coming home late. So that means he's
Yeah.
got his wife could be home asleep, not even thinking about him.
exactly. Well, and if the kids were sick that day, she's preoccupied.
right.
Wow. I just got some really bad news.
Oh no.
Well, a buddy of mine, Hoosier the Bruiser, he loved his mother very dearly. He was more, he was so concerned about her, but apparently she passed away. So if everybody can kind of keep them all in your prayers.
Light a candle for him for sure.
He loved his mother so much. That's one thing that hurt me very bad is him being so concerned and then him actually passing before she did. He cared so much for her. So sorry. Please
It's
continue.
okay.
No, it's how is he? Like, how's everybody doing with that?
I don't know. I just got the email, and that's one thing that caused him so much stress was her going through some suffering.
Well, I
Losing your
guess
mom is tough.
now they're together.
Oh, I'm getting some inside word here. Let's see. So apparently, Julian did go to work, came home late, but knew that he called off. That's possible what took place. Sorry,
Huh.
guys. I didn't mean to interrupt like that. I
No,
just
you're
want.
good.
No, it's yeah. That's some heavy
So
stuff.
he showed up at home as though he went to work.
But he was late.
No, even later. He came home later, even though he called out than he normally would have.
See, there it is again. There's just like question marks around this guy. Like,
Me. But is he toying with us?
He might be. It is a little suspicious, the amount of coincidences. Like, I'm starting to get to a point where I'm just
yeah,
It's too
Why are you
much.
coming
Man.
out with all this right now?
like I just know that it's going to be exactly what I fear every single time with it.
Because it's getting worse, especially with the iPhone thing.
mhm.
Yeah.
I don't
The
know.
whole thing.
And I mean, I never even considered that, police could have taken control over his phone or whatever.
When do you get paid for unemployment? Like around what time of the month?
Ooh, I have no idea. I have no clue.
He's on unemployment.
I don't think
yes,
he's working. Yeah.
Yeah, he's on. I've heard he's on unemployment.
Yeah, no idea. I just knew it from COVID, but that was like different.
Yeah.
I would assume like bi-weekly, maybe like you would any, your regular job, maybe like every other week or something.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking around the 14, 15. When did you text him?
Me?
Yeah.
This morning? What time? Let me see.
So I'm wondering if
11:23.
I'm just wondering how he could have got the resources to go and just get like a new phone and all that stuff. I'm
It
assuming
is a little strange.
Yeah, let me see. There's all kinds of like we just chatted back and forth. It was all green, but
and then
he
all of
did
a
make a
sudden
comment.
it's iPhone.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's
sometimes
iPhone.
when iMessenger's not up and running, it sends SMS. Or
Yeah.
I think
Yes,
It
yes.
sends like
SMS or
it sends
something?
like a regular text message if it's not able to send it through Wi-Fi.
but the iMessage stuff. Yeah.
Oh, here it goes. Essay said in Indiana the unemployment is weekly.
Really?
Thank you so much.
Let me see.
Mandy wants you to check this out, Crime Dive.
What is it?
I'm not sure.
We'll watch it afterwards.
It's a link.
Cool.
I mean, that's all the updates. We're basically coming to the end. Anything you wanna discuss, Falon?
There's a couple things I just found like looking through here. They're not anything like explosive, but just kind of made my head tilt a little bit. There was one text that we had sent back and forth. I was just letting him know, like, hey, I'm going to be taking out a couple parts of our interview when we actually said our children's names, which is fair. He just said, feel free to redact anything that you see fit to. However, as a point of clarification, I share everything with my wife. And I thought that was odd because, I mean, obviously, like, of course he would, but it just seemed weird that he would just make that a thing. Like, just so you know, I tell her everything.
He's playing you in that situation because he's estranged from his wife. His wife's not living there.
Yeah.
So his comments are very strange.
So another thing, I asked him, if there's a specific picture that he would like me to use of him, and I sent him one of me so I could say, hey, this is who you're chatting with. He sent me the picture. He said his wife took it for him. It has a lot of sentimental value. I sent my picture. And then he said, which I found this kind of odd, he said, you have very white teeth, indicative of good oral hygiene, heart health as well. You both are very blessed to have found one another. And I'm like, you both who? Like, I didn't talk about anybody. I was talking mostly about him.
He went looking.
So you have very
That
white
creeps
teeth,
me out.
indicative of good oral hygiene, heart health as well. You both are very blessed to have found one another. And I was like, thank you. That's very sweet to say. And then going back, I was like, What?
Says no one ever.
Right, like I mean,
Ever.
I've
in
gotten
this
some
life.
compliments, but my teeth have never been one of them. But
But Julian is not the average person. Like
That's
No.
like what an alien would say to someone if you showed him a picture and they're like, "Your teeth are white," and it's like, okay.
yeah, I mean, I just thought that was kind of odd. That's not something I mentioned before, but going back through everything, especially now that he has I'm assuming an iPhone. I just thought that was interesting. Just like, where the hell did that come from? But thanks, I guess.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to take it.
Appreciate it. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Got to learn to take compliments. He doesn't take compliments well either, so he can't say no. He can't say anything.
Yeah, he seems to be very uncomfortable with a lot of things, but I mean, I'm thankful he chatted with me, and hopefully he'll write me back and I can just see what the last week's been like, or maybe he'll reach out to you too. I just want to know what
He won't reach out
what
to
happened.
us.
He will absolutely not talk to us.
Okay, well,
Nobody has heard from him since the polygraph. Like,
Well, he wouldn't talk to us before that. We were
No,
like,
I
hey,
mean,
Trying to get him to interview.
I'm telling you, I'm getting an update right now that nobody has heard from him. The people that are closest to him,
nobody.
the people that are closest to him have not seen him
that's
since
so.
then.
When I sent that text this morning at 11:23, he read it at 11:23, so he's boom, like on the phone. If it's him,
man, this
so like he's there, he's on it.
Don't get
he's
me
not
excited,
responding.
man. Don't do that.
So
I'm
he
trying
just
to
can't.
stay in
I mean,
Can't help
he,
it.
Yeah.
he can't
Maybe
help
not
it.
wired.
So he obviously still has a phone or a way to, like, I don't know,
If that's
communicate.
him.
If it's him,
but I
yeah.
mean, he can't post on anything. So maybe he's been. I don't even know.
I'm still gonna reach out to him.
Maybe he's feeling better and he's like, wow, like, thanks guys, like, this is what I needed. Maybe he got connected through some type of resources. Like, I'm thinking
hope.
there's something off with his medication. It's all it takes is like one thing to be
Yeah.
off.
Oh
and
yeah.
you're-
Absolutely, and Adderall is basically just speed.
Well, and he has a temperament that's a little bit hyper. So to then also be on Adderall, it seems.
Well, it could just be
that can balance you out. Like if you're
Yeah, maybe he's not taking it, I guess.
He might not be taking it, but it's like when you have, and this is speaking from experience, when you have bouts of mania, you start think. I mean, I'm in no way as severe as he is, but you start thinking some things that are very much not true.
absolutely, yeah.
Get this, Falon.
Yeah.
Apparently, he did message his wife and told him asked her if it was okay if he could interview with you.
Ooh, well,
Yeah.
hopefully she was cool with it.
Yeah, I don't know. This is like
Wow.
a friend. This is like a friend of a friend of a friend.
Gotcha.
Of a friend of a friend of a neighbor of a cohort.
The guy that knew someone one time at that gas station. Yeah.
and found something.
Well, I'm glad he let me know that everything gets ran by
That's
her,
great.
and
Yeah,
good.
I just got that information.
Interesting.
Their guess is that he may be spooked. I don't know.
I would say so. There's a lot of pressure on him right now. There's a lot. I mean,
He's like, how did these damn sleuths get these police on my doorsteps? You did it. We didn't do
Yeah.
it. You did it, buddy.
yeah.
You can't just sort of free will Damien Eccles it and expect to not get some.
Yeah, don't be
Backlash.
giving me Damien and Echo vibes and expect me to just sit around. Okay.
Oh,
Only,
man.
I think Damien Eccles is innocent.
I do too. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
But he doesn't look innocent.
It's
He
those
looks dark sided.
Yeah.
And he had a chip on his shoulder. So
He did.
He is dark sided.
Well, it was the whole,
That doesn't
Metallica
make
shirts,
you
guys.
make you a killer.
Yep.
Yeah. Metallica.
Yep.
Yeah. Kids in Black.
It's
We're
the
the trouble.
Metallica.
No, I think it was the U2 that did it for him. Pretty sure.
Oh man.
Well, guys, I think we're at the end.
We're right at 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
That flew by.
This
Was
has
an
been like
enjoyable night.
this was an awesome show, guys.
Yeah.
Sure was.
Agreed.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for having us, Luth.
Love it.
Yeah, this is really kick ass. You guys we're like a little team right here, kind of, if you think about it.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Like the
Yep.
Power Rangers just did the whole, you know,
I'm pink.
pterodactyl.
All right. Well, let's stay in touch. Can we do this again soon? Maybe.
I would love it.
Absolutely.
I would love
Totally.
that.
All right. Falon, last word.
Thanks for having me. Keep your just be open to everything. Don't give up. Keep looking for this whoever this bridge guy is, and I don't know. I usually just say take less shit and drink more water. So that's always
Yeah.
my ending. And thanks for
What do you
having
think-
me. It was a lot of fun.
You're welcome. What do you think about that weird, creepy guy in the comments? The Mr. B guy or whatever.
I don't like him.
I mean, get a better picture than a gingerbread cookie.
Well, if you
Yeah.
remember, the gingerbread man was very elusive.
He really was.
Sneaky.
Yeah, he's like he bounced. You know.
He just commented.
I like his profile pic.
Yeah, let's see. What is he talking about? Well, his YouTube was created in 2019 during the month of February, or 2009. I'm sorry.
Wow. He's been
Used to
paying
be.
attention for 5 years. All right.
Oh.
Mm.
Interesting.
Mm.
It's like, man, he just gets so curious. Like, I just want to track this guy down.
Well, maybe that can be next
He
time.
can reach out if he wants.
yeah.
Reach out to us. We'll talk to you.
Yeah. I got some questions. You know,
Oh,
Yeah.
He knows
nice little
better.
chat.
He
He
knows
won't.
better.
He called you Matthew.
Yeah, he called me Matthew.
Oh.
I'm in trouble.
Oh, as long as he doesn't call you Matthew, your middle name, and then Solomon.
Oh shit, yeah. That'd be
Big
Big
terrible.
trouble.
Then you're in deep shit. All right, guys. So I could hang out here all night. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you
Thanks for
guys.
having me.
Good
All
to see you,
right.
pal.
All right. Thanks for
Nice
joining
to
me.
meet you.
Crime Dev.
It was great
Falon?
meeting you guys too. Yeah. Hopefully we
You
can come
do.
on, you know, Dead Academy sometime.
Yeah,
That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
we'd love to.
for sure. It'd
Sweet.
be awesome.
All right.
Everybody go subscribe to Crime Dive right now. If you probably already have, but go do it anyway. All the descriptions to not all, some descriptions to the links for Falon and Dead Academy will be found in the description. There's so much more. She's doing so much with the podcast. So we're going to have her back hopefully. And then maybe I'll meet you over there on your side of the town, on the side of the railroad
love that.
tracks. All
I
right,
love
guys.
that.
Thanks,
On
Luke.
that
Good
note,
night.
bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.